We're just going to have to get the gentleman from Kansas a clock.
I thought it meant I had 4 minutes and 55 seconds left.
Mr. Secretary, I was surprised to learn that medical research has discovered the probability that men and women who serve our nation develop certain cancers more prevalent among them than the general population. Are you aware of this?
That men and women in uniform may develop certain different cancers than civilians?
More frequent and the like?
I'm not familiar with the particular study that you're referring to, but I'd be interested to see it.
Also, I learned at the same time that brain injuries are particularly prevalent among some members of our military. And understanding the violence of that experience, it's not a surprise, but it does have long-term impact. Were you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Do you know why?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I got Pete Hegseth again, and I'm loving the Trump administration cabinet officials. I'm not trying to sound like some fanboy or anything, but I've watched a lot of these, especially through the Biden administration, and some of the bloviating nonsense that we got as answers that weren't really answers were just ridiculously stupid, if you ask me. But with Trump administration officials, it seems like we get actual real answers sometimes. Like Kash Patel is not afraid to just say yes or no sometimes. We gotta love that. It's a breath of fresh air, if you will. But before we get into this, y'all do me that big favor, smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here and you want more content like this. Stay up to date with all of the latest videos that pop out. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. And if you could, look right below the video, click that join button, sign up, become a member, help me deliver the best possible content I can deliver to you guys, because you guys deserve it. That's for sure. But without any further ado, let's keep going.
Well, decades of deployments to places where explosions, large and small, happen on the regular basis, and certain people are right next to small explosions on a regular basis or big explosions in one incident, or they have a duty MOS, like you're an artilleryman, where the constant thud of that alters the physical aspect of your brain in ways that we don't fully understand, but we know are caused by that service. So we're very aware of that.
Do you feel a special responsibility as Secretary of Defense representing these services and the men and women who are part of them to make sure that we get as quickly as we can to the bottom of this and figure out what we can do, if anything, to reduce the likelihood of additional cancers or brain injuries?
Senator, I served with a lot of men who were affected in a lot of ways by those types of symptoms, including symptoms that led to the taking of their own life. Yes. This is a deadly serious issue. We are committed to getting to the bottom of who it affects and why, and making sure we do right by it.
So let me tell you what I've done about it. As chairman of this subcommittee at one point in time, we have dramatically increased the medical research to protect the men and women in uniform. As we learn these things, we want to get to the bottom of it as quickly as possible. It is enough for me that they risk their lives for our country. We shouldn't make it a more dangerous situation, and we ought to understand what's going on in their minds and their bodies when they serve. And as a result of that, we have dramatically increased defense medical research. I think we owe it to the men and women in uniform. Your budget cuts two-thirds of that amount for defense health research. How can that be consistent with our mutual goal of making the military life a safer life for our men and women in uniform?
Well, Senator, I would take issue with your characterization that all 2/3 of that, whatever was reduced, is focused on the issues that you just spoke about, because those are issues that, as a secretary who's very close to these issues and knows people close to these issues, my team knows that's exactly the type of research that we would fund. But we did find lots of other research inside the Defense Department to the tens and millions, and in some cases, hundreds of millions of dollars that was a boondoggle for the American people.
Why?
And
Why do you say,
proud to get
give me
rid
an
of it.
example of a boondoggle in medical research in
There are
defense health?
I mean, we're talking about some stuff I shouldn't say in public. Marbles in the rear ends of cats, tens of millions of dollars, things that don't
Is this
have
like the
a
300
connection
300
to
is this-
what
is
you're
like-
talking about.
Is
So
this
I
like the
respect
350-year-old Social Security check that the president told us?
Senator, I respect
I would-
completely the issue that you're speaking with, and this department couldn't be more sympathetic to that and
Well,
ensure that it's funded. But the Defense Department has been a place where organizations, entities, and companies know they can get money almost unchecked to
That's
whether or
not
not
true.
it actually applies to things that happen on the battlefield.
That's just not
That's
even
what
close.
we worked very hard to find in ways that other secretaries have not.
Let me tell you,
This
that's
committee and others talk about waste, fraud, and abuse all the time. We have actually gone after waste, fraud, and abuse because
Let me-
every
let
dollar
me
that's
just tell you that
misspent is a
eliminating-
dollar we can pour into the war fighter.
eliminating 2/3 of the money for defense health research. Put that next to the decision to cut NIH medical research by 40%. Does that make America great again for these military families? I don't think so. $45 million for a parade, for God's sake. Money should be put in defense medical research instead of wasted on some pomp and circumstance for the president. This is not consistent with what the men and women in uniform deserve.
I just so happen to wholeheartedly agree with that last statement right there. That military parade, it's like, come on, Trump, what are you doing with this? This is a complete waste of money unless it can incite an explosion of new recruits, right? Recruitment numbers are really, really high right now. They're really, really good, higher than they've been in a very long time. If this military parade can't do that, then I'm sorry, it's a waste of money. We do not need to be spending our money on this. We just had Doge, for crying out loud, go through and audit the government and eliminate a bunch of waste, fraud, and abuse. And then Donald Trump is going to come out and do a military parade of all things. For what? For what reason? To show off? For crying out loud? Like, that's something that ticks me off about the Trump administration. Kind of pisses me off a little bit. We don't need stuff like this, especially when we're in the position that we're in right now. But I love how the administration cabinet members, like Pete Hegseth right there, just completely dispels the nonsense coming from the Democratic Party. Oh, well, you're cutting off 2/3 of the military research. That sounds bad. That's one of those talking point narratives that you get from the corporate press that is just so disingenuous that it really rides the line of lying to the American people. Yeah, they eliminated nonsense research, like shoving marbles up the rear ends of cats, for crying out loud. And we've seen some of the evidence for this. We've seen, these ridiculous research projects that just, they have no place in the military, in the private, and if you want to do it in the private sector, but that shouldn't be government funded, for crying out loud. We are in a crisis currently with our spending problems that we have in Washington, D.C., and these people do not need to be wasting tax dollars on utter nonsense. What could you think you could derive from shoving marbles? Like, seriously, like that, it just doesn't make any sense. And another person that I want to get into right quick that is really, really good at dispelling the nonsense talking points coming from the corporate press is Caroline Levitt. Check this out, y'all.
The president warned that any protests on Saturday would be met with force. Can you clarify what kind of protest President Trump does support or find acceptable?
The president absolutely supports peaceful protests. He supports the First Amendment. He supports the right of Americans to make their voices heard. He does not support violence of any kind. He does not support assaulting law enforcement officers who are simply trying to do their job. It's very clear for the president what he supports and what he does not. Unfortunately for Democrats, that line has not been made clear, and they've allowed this unrest and this violence to continue, and the president has had to step in.
So if there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that?
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Rick?
What a stupid question that was. And it was. Because this is something that the Trump administration officials, they need to get on top of quickly. They need to learn right fast. And some of them have, but they don't really come back with it quickly enough to dispel the language of the left. Right? A protest is always peaceful. A riot, now a protest can turn into a riot, but once it turns into a riot, it is no longer a protest. So, of course, we support protest. But if it turns riotous, then no, we don't support that. And we're going to go after these people, and we're going to arrest these people. And this is what we're getting from the corporate press narrative. They're trying to put out all these rumors that, oh, this is mostly peaceful. They'll say that. It's overwhelmingly peaceful. So what do you mean overwhelmingly? So the vast majority, what, 90%, 95% peaceful? So how about that 5% or 10% or whatever, 1% even? Is that 1% riotous? And should we go in and arrest these people for breaking the law? Once again, folks, we need to get on top of the language and dispel that language. Just stop them from using it, because they conflate protests with riots all the time, the same way they conflate immigrants with criminal aliens. And I'll talk about that all the time. That is the language of the left. They have weaponized the English language against you to manipulate you into buying into their narrative. Don't buy into it. Use critical thinking skills and think about what they're saying. Fact check it with reality if you've got to, and then, go from there. Believe what you want, but when the facts lay out what's actually going on here, like in LA, I've got another clip we're going to show you right quick. But when those facts get bared out, hey, there's nothing you can do with language that can change the reality on the ground. Sorry. Let's go to the next clip.
You were just asked about the First Amendment rights issues. In the president's comments yesterday, though, he just said protesters would be strongly dealt with. In your list before, you referred to insurrectionists, rioters, and protesters together. Obviously, they're quite different from your earlier answer. I'm struck by the fact that the president has not at any point said the most important thing here is to protect the First Amendment rights of peaceful protesters. So I'm wondering, where in his hierarchy of interests does he place that? Is the First Amendment protection the most important? Is stopping violence most important? Why is he not out saying all peaceful protesters will be protected?
I think two things can be important at the same time. And the president, as I just answered, supports the right of Americans to peacefully protest. He supports the First Amendment. But that is not the majority of the behavior that we have seen taking place in Los Angeles. We have seen mobs of violent rioters and agitators assaulting law enforcement officers, assaulting our federal immigration authorities. And we have seen, as I said, this goes back to what this administration is trying to do and accomplish, and that's enforcing law and order in our nation's communities. And it's removing public safety threats from communities in Los Angeles.
You're saying the majority have not been peaceful, the majority have been violent.
I just read for you the arrest numbers. We've arrested nearly 400 illegal aliens alone, just illegal aliens who have been arrested in these riots since June 6th, since they began.
Thousands of people on the streets.
Yeah, and we've had hundreds of people who have assaulted law enforcement officers. Are you saying that that's that's appropriate behavior?
No,
Are you
no,
saying
I'm not
that
saying
the
that at all.
president
I'm
shouldn't
just
take
trying
action?
to figure out.
The Democrat governor and the Democrat mayor of Los Angeles have failed their citizens. And the majority of Americans, the majority of Californians, do not want to see law enforcement officers being assaulted in the streets. And thankfully, the president took action and stepped in to protect our federal law enforcement agents, to protect federal buildings, to protect the federal mission of deporting illegal criminals off of our streets. And that mission will continue every day as far as we're concerned. Thank you.
That is a clip that you will never see on CNN. You will never see that on ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC. You will never see that anywhere, because that completely just shatters the narrative around what's going on in LA. We've arrested 400 criminal aliens that are rioting, for crying out loud. That right there is the casus belli for Trump to go in with the military and take control of that situation. Arrest those people, expeditiously deport those people. No due process. They don't deserve due process. If you're caught, I'm sorry, you're protesting against the country that you broke into. That's what they're doing. How much sense does that make? You come into a country, right, that you claim that, oh, you're here for a better life, and then you're going to protest shit all over that country, wave the flag of the country you came from. Like, what? Are you freaking kidding me with this? This is the logic of the left, folks. Most immigrants, as we saw with the living meme, Harry Enton, for crying out loud yesterday, these people, They just don't understand how much the American public dislikes the left right now and Democrats. They just really don't like it. Democrats are just very, very, very unpopular because of what's going on in LA. You got Captain Lizardman or Governor Lizardman coming out talking about Trump. Like, he's the agitator. He's the fascist. He's the authoritarian. And Gavin Newsom refuses to control the situation. Refuses. A lot of the property damage could have been prevented, for crying out loud, if they would have had appropriate law enforcement to protect those ICE agents, for goodness sakes. When those people showed up to protest and started rioting, the LAPD should have been all over that. SWAT team, bring everything in. National Guard, blah, 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 boom. Trump should not have had to call in the National Guard. That's the problem with Democrats. And then he's going to get on TV and try to excoriate Donald Trump for calling in the National Guard to control a riot. Really? What I love, though, is the narrative. Oh, well, Donald Trump refused to call the National Guard on January 6th. Come on, guys. You're lying to everybody now. But they don't care. They know they're lying to everybody. Once again, and what I find funny is people don't care. Some people, mostly just normie Democrats, don't care to go fact check this. They'll just hear this and think, how did we get under an authoritarian regime? Well, guess what, folks? If you think it's that extreme, it's that bad, that we're living under fascism, go and fact check yourself for a second. Because we're not. If something seems extreme, something seems not right, like, holy crap, Donald Trump called in the National Guard to arrest peaceful protesters. Yeah, you might want to fact check the facts on that, because that's not what happened. We know there's a riot. We know they're burning cars. They're burning property. Business owners. Karen Bass, for crying out loud, you've got CNN trying to say, nothing to see here, folks. And then Karen Bass at the same time imposes a curfew? Like, are you kidding me? Saying people will be arrested if they violate that curfew. Why did she impose a curfew, for goodness sakes, if there's nothing to see here? These people are insane. They hate this country. They want this to see the destruction of this country. Once again, folks, the issue is never Donald Trump. The issue is always the communist revolution. These people are communists. Don't get it twisted. Seriously. But I think I've rambled off long enough on this one, y'all. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Y'all make sure and stay tuned and check out my next video, because once again, the media manipulation is on another level, folks. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. Don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. That would be great, you guys. And if you could, sign up, become a member, click that join button. Help me deliver the best content I can deliver to you guys, because YouTube costs a lot of money to advertise on YouTube, y'all, and I just don't have that kind of money. I work from 7 to 3:30 every day. I don't know why I got slipped up on that. I had a brain fart there for a second, I guess. 7 to 3:30 every day. I come straight home, immediately go to researching for news, going through that, fact checking my news stories, getting clips like this. I spend a good little time on that, and then I come out here, I record, and then I go edit, and by the time I'm done uploading everything for the evening, it's 10 o'clock, it's time to go to bed. So I work all freaking day long trying to deliver content, and it would be nice to be able to make 4 and 5 videos a day, but can't do that with a damn 7 to 3:30. So Hey, I'm sorry. I normally don't like asking for stuff, but you guys, I need help. I ain't gonna lie about that. I need some help, but y'all do what y'all do. All you gotta do is watch. Click that like button. That's all I ask. But enough of my pandering, I guess. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay logical. Peace.